Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Marsh and the Monday Night Marsh stream, our Works in Progress series, which we've been doing for 30 years now. And I think we got it right. And I think so tonight. We've got a really terrific project tonight, the formerly incarcerated person's performance project, but you'll hear more about that in a minute. For right now, just to let you know, here at the Marsh, we do something just about every night here on the Marsh stream. We have our Monday Night Marsh Works in Progress series every Monday night. Our Wild Card Tuesdays is a mix of different things every week. And then Wednesday nights, we have our Solo Arts Heal series. We've got Leland Faulkner on there with host Gail Schickley this week. Thursday night is Stephanie's Marsh stream, which will be dark this week for the Thanksgiving holiday, but we will be back Friday night. Bingo with Josh Kornbluth every Friday night. It's part improv performance by Josh and bingo game every Friday night at 7:30, and it's a lot of fun. Fridays at noon, we have CJ's Fitness Sing. It's a combination singing lesson and fitness class run by Candace Johnson, a fantastic vocalist and voice professor at UC Berkeley. Wonderful class leader. It's a great class. That's every Friday at noon on our Zoom stream, at the March stream. And then this weekend, we have our solo performer spotlight. It's Who Killed Sylvia Plath, written by Lynn Kaufman and performed by Lori Holt, one of the winners in our Marsh International Solo Festival this past fall. It's a wonderful show. Lori is a fantastic performer, and Lynn's script is a really wonderful examination of the life and work and relevance of Sylvia Plath. So that's Friday at 7:30 and Sunday at 5 p.m. We've got two shows this weekend. You can find out all about this stuff on our website, themarsh.org. And please consider supporting the Marsh and our artists with a contribution to our tip jar. There's a link in the chat. Also, welcome to all of you watching on YouTube Live. I think I've covered everything. So I'm going to turn you over now to one of the directors and founders of FIPP, Mark Kenward, who will tell you a little bit about the project and about tonight's performance. So Mark, over to you.
Thanks so much, David. And I just want to say a big thank you to David Harada. And this is fun because I first performed at the Marsh in 1995, and David was the Monday Night Marsh director at that time. And so this is 25 years of Monday Night Marshes that we're bracketing at this point. So thank you very much, David, for having us. And welcome to another evening of performance with the formerly incarcerated People's Performance Project. This is a project that is directed by myself, as well as my colleagues and good friends, Rebecca Fisher and Wayne Harris. We have been collaborating with 6 formerly incarcerated people, as well as 2 mothers of children who have been incarcerated, working with all of these wonderful performers to help them tell their stories, to share their experiences. We started rehearsing back in January. We had 2 months of in-person rehearsals, and then COVID came along, and we swiftly pivoted to Zoom like the rest of the world. And we've been moving forward with Zoom rehearsals and these Zoom performances through the Marsh Stream channel. So thank you to the Marsh for that. This is a project I'm so passionate about. It's been such a powerful thing. Every one of our rehearsals, every performance, every question and answer discussion, it continues to blow my mind. And, I just think this is, as we move forward as a nation, criminal justice reform is such a big part of the work ahead of us. And I think our stories are such a huge part of humanizing us and understanding experiences outside of our own. So you're in for a real treat tonight. We've got 2 fabulous performers. Al Sasser will be our first performer. He's got about 15 minutes. And then we have Pamela Keane, and she is performing about 25 minutes. And then after that, our good friend David Harada will host a question and answer session. So if you have any questions for our performers, you can leave those in the chat. All right. So without further ado, will you please welcome our first performer, Mr. Al Sasser.
I really thought I got away with something. I mean, out of all this time and no one really knew. No one seemed to even detect that I was afraid. I really thought I got away with something. You see, no one ever told me that I would never amount to anything, nor did they suggest that I not pursue my dreams. Oh, I fantasize about being a dancer. And a singer. For you smile, I'd walk a country mile, yeah. For one side of your hair, I could roll the desert sands. But I decided at 9 years old that I was gonna have to live this life on my own. So here I am until there I go. I was a good kid. I mean, I would carry people's groceries to their car, and when they would offer me money, I'd refuse it. I was a bookworm at my neighborhood library. When things got chaotic at home, I'd ask for permission to go to the library, and I would stay there long enough to read one book, and then I would get my next star. But things got worse. Can you remember when you were happy? I mean, for no reason happy, just joyous and free, didn't need outside validation. Can you remember that? My mama was the strongest woman I know. When I would feel afraid, she would say, baby, we all afraid of something, but if it's your time, it's your time. Don't go allowing fear to rule your life. Now I'm aware that my mama heart ached. I mean, every time I'd walk out that door and stay gone until 2 a.m., she'd say, boy, I talked to you until I just ran out of breath. And I could see how tired mama had become. And although I felt responsible, my own pain wouldn't allow me to give mama a break. Will the defendant please rise? 15 years to life. And I'm wondering, what the hell did that mean? So I turned to my Black attorney in front of my Black judge. How much time will I have to do? I mean, how long will I have to survive prison until I can return home? And he turns and looks at me, stares me dead in my eyes and says, a minimum of 15 years. 15 years minimum. Do it well. Now, what this Black man said meant much more to me. Had he been a white cat, I could have said, yeah, this racist bastard is just another one of those card-carrying members trying to scheme to keep me down because I'm Black. Send me away, like my aunt from Georgia used to say, they just lock y'all up because you's a Black boy. Guilty, born guilty. From the cradle to the grave, from the prison school to the prison pipeline, and there's no escape. How do I live on this narrow path that only seems to lead to my destruction. I knew it was up to me to figure this shit out. No one heard, no one seemed to hear my calls for help. You know, my first day in the LA County Jail was much like my first day in juvenile hall. It all seems like confinement until the lights went off. Then I'd find my safety in solitude. Here I am, high power section, LA County Jail, Charlie Row, 16 single man cells warehousing bodies until time take away their very souls. Truth be told, for some of us, it was like going home. Open Charlie Row, cell 16. I entered into the row thinking about my children and trying to calculate how many years or how old they would be by the time I was released, just to have my thoughts interrupted. Hey, Lil Al, is that you? They got you too? They got me too. Damn. I feel exhausted. I keep thinking to myself, how am I going to find a way out of this? I mean, a way out of this life that I've been trapped inside for years. No help offered, just me and consequences. Guilty by association. Do the crime or not, still do the time. With just my fears as a motivator. I long for a freedom I had no way of understanding. My girlfriend come to see me. And as she sat across this thick glass that separated us, we'd place both of our hands on the window, and I'd stare at her, and she'd smile. But something seemed different about this visit. You know, it's not always uncommon to go on a visit only to return with news of a breakup. I just positioned myself inside as steady as I could so that I could withstand this anticipated blow. Hey, baby, you're beautiful. No, you're beautiful, she said. Al, I'm gonna run for you until you catch the train to the reception center. I'm gonna make sure you got your money stacked and you'll be all right. And then I'm just gonna go on and live my life, she said. Because if you can go into the county jail with 1 year and end up with 15 years to life, when you go to prison, you're not ever getting out. At that moment, pieces of me scattered and started to vacate. And I wasn't sure how much of myself that I could hold on to or save. I couldn't shout, scream loud enough to ask for the help that I wanted so badly. Then she passed the phone to Mama. And I held my head up high as if I was about to salute. And I heard as a reminder, hold your head up, son. Hold your head up. Mama asked, how are you? How are you, son? Do you need anything? No, Mama. I'm good. I'm okay. Do you want us to get an attorney? No, mama. No. I had to figure this out myself. Did you do it? No, mama. Now on this road, there live a lot of cast of characters, but none was more interesting than this one dude we call Stuff. See, Stuff was this tall brother with this big old 1960 afro, real thin, always smiling as if he knew a secret. Kind of creepy, but respectful. He'd either be in the back of the cell, holding on, swinging from the bars, sometimes staring into the two-way mirror, or in the back singing, "Been the two of us need look no more. We both found what we were looking for." One day, he caught me staring at him, and he said, "Don't trip. You be doing this one day." No, not me. That shit is crazy. Before I knew it, I was singing, and one day came, Stuff standing at the back of the bars watching me rock back and forth as I held the cell bars, and he smiled.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Al's, the performers in our project are doing really cool work in the world, and like in the fields of recovery and reentry. And Al's certainly one of them. He works in West Oakland as a homeless case manager and advocate, and substance abuse counselor, and just really honored to have him as part of the project. So great job, Al. And similarly, our next performer, she's also doing great work in fields of recovery and reentry. And she comes to us with lots of performing experience. Pamela Keane. She has been part of both the Shakespeare Corrected program in Illinois, as well as the Marin Shakespeare Returned Citizens program. And she is a wonderful performer. Will you please welcome Pamela Keane?
Just thinking about it gives me a chill. There were some cold nights on those streets. Yep, I was homeless, 45 years old, with my little shopping cart, the kind that you take to the laundromat. I figured it was better than one of those Safeway carts, because that was a dead giveaway you were homeless. I used to keep my clothes folded nice and neat in it, as if I'd just come from the laundromat. I figured no one would be the wiser. I also had my cardboard in it. And not just any cardboard. I called it Cadillac cardboard. Altogether, it's 2 pieces. It's a box spring and a freaking mattress. Wasn't always like that for me, though. I was a hairdresser, a bartender, a DJ, and MC at a comedy club. My husband, Dick, a happy-go-lucky guy. "You're killing me, Smalls, but I still love you, crazy ass." We had a nice place at timeshare in Cabo San Lucas, money market funds, mutual funds. We owned stocks. I had 30 grand in my savings. I even owned my car. Sounds great, right? Well, through it all, I struggled frightfully with bipolar manic depression, severe anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Drugs and alcohol utterly made it worse. I found myself creeping down a torturous, tangled, vicious cycle, in and out of mental institutions. My friends and family began to distance themselves from me. My father said that he expected the next phone call from Richard would be that I was dead. "I can't help you anymore. Your friends and your family don't want to help you anymore. I just can't do this. I lost everything, including Richard. He left me after 20 years for someone else. I would have left me too. So I put myself in rehab. I successfully completed a 90-day program. I moved into this master bedroom with a patio and petunias. I met a guy, Spender. He's 6'2", eyes of blue. He's got a cheeky grin, and he says he likes me. Regardless, he came with drugs and alcohol, and I liked them. So I hit the road with Spender. We worked our way up from Monterey to San Francisco. And in just 6 months' time, I'm a junkie, sleeping in the alleyways in the Mission District, just low in my highs and high in my lows. I'm going to tell you about this one day, though. I was standing in the alleyway, two OGs having a beer, old gangsters. I got a cigarette in hand, breeze is blowing, Spender just went to score some dope, and it's a beautiful day. I got my scarf wrapped around my neck like a motherfucking Audrey Hepburn, and a car rolls by. Hey, Ma, how you doing? Well, there ain't no one else here to be calling Ma, so I guess they're talking to me. What's up? Now, I've been solicited for sex so much lately that I'm about to scream, "That ain't my get down, asshole!" But before I can say a word, "Hey, you look like you've had money." Well, I'm listening now, because don't you know who I am? I don't belong out here. And of course I've had money. They gesture me over to the car, and I bite. "Why don't you get in the car? We've got an opportunity for you." I need money. So I get in the back seat. The driver has got long dreads, an obvious partner in crime. And the passenger, he's got his seat way back. And he's got a fresh cut, and his line is done real neat. Now I sense that Fresh Cut's a business guy because he talks quick and sharp, and the driver stays quiet. Fresh Cut says his name is L, and that the driver's name is Pac-Man. Now L asked me if I know a little bit about this banking system. Now, I've been on the streets for a minute, and game recognizes game, and I told him I know a little bit about it. He said that they were going to Las Vegas in the morning. "How about if we put you up in the hotel for the night?" Wow, I thought. Bed, shower, toilet, soap? I'm game. So the next morning, they pick me up. We go get a passport photo of me. And after getting a few more people together and a few more preparations, a couple more cars, we hit the road that night. I slept the whole way, much needed. And when I woke up, there we were. We're in Las Vegas, baby! We stopped at McDonald's, and for the first time in months, I'm able to use the bathroom without sneaking in. And most of my recent meals have been found on top of garbage cans. But today, this meal was mine. I guess you could call it my happy meal. And then off to the motel, where I find myself bunking with 4 men and only 2 beds. This is really awkward. Well, Pops hands me $11, and that's for a tall boy and a pack of cigarettes. Elle gets a room with his girl, Dora, and I get the feeling she doesn't want me anywhere around her. And so the routine began. Day after day, promising me big money and drugs, and week after week promising me we'll go home, but we don't. Pops says, I'm going to explain the game to you, kid. It says, you're going to be dancing in the honey holes. Dancing be going into those banks, and the honey holes be the banks. Now, first job out the gate, Elle gives me an ID. I've got to go get something nice to wear. And it's about time because I've been in the same clothes for like 10 days now. And this ID, my picture's on it. It's me, but it isn't me. But it is me. Well, only the name has changed. He says all I have to do is remember a social security number and the Macy's account is mine. It worked. I went in and I bought myself a teal and black scoop neck summer dress. Now, Pops was the nicest to me, so I really wanted to use the phone. I asked him. He said it was okay, but it came with conditions. You can't tell anybody where you are. You can't tell anybody what you're doing. And you can't tell anybody I let you use the phone. Now, who I really wanted to call was Spender, so I snuck around back to a little stairwell. Oh, Spender, please answer. He does. Ooh, he's livid. And I'm homesick. Oh my God, where are you? Well, I'm not supposed to say, but I'm in Las Vegas. Oh my God, do you know what they do with people in Las Vegas? They kill them and bury their bodies in the desert. Oh, they're not going to kill me. They said we're going to make some big money. Oh yeah, well, we'll see about that. I haven't had any money since you've been gone, so I sold your car and I gotta go. Bye. Wait, what? Sold my car? Oh my God, sold my car for real. Well, the next night, Elle and I, we learn the banking system. He teaches me, and we go all night at an exponential speed, back and forth and back and forth. Give him the ID, give him the withdrawal slip, give him the cashier slip, second piece, take the money, get your ID back. Don't forget to get the ID back. Don't forget to get that ID back. So the next morning we go on a test run. They send me in with a seasoned veteran, Elle's girl, Dora, and she's a long blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. She has this incredible confidence about her, and she walks into that bank, and in less than 5 minutes, she's got $5,000 cash in her hand. Now, I don't know why, but this is like a whole new drug to me. And then I'm up. We pull up to another bank. And now my adrenaline is rushing so hard, I can barely feel myself breathing. I've got so much to remember, from where the getaway cards are, birthday, social, checks, ID numbers. Oh my God, it's just so much. Fuck. My brain and my body just do not feel in sync right now. Whew. But anyways, I go into that bank. And Elle tells me to pick my teller, so I'm looking. That one. Oh, one thing I forgot. And Elle made very clear. If they ask you to have a seat, get out. The play's gone bad. Ma'am, just what are you withdrawing $5,000 for today? A new car? A truck? Why don't you have a seat? It's going to be just a minute. So what did I do? I politely took a seat. Don't look nervous. Try not to panic. Elle's blowing up my phone now. He says, get out of here. I assure him they're coming back with the ID any minute. The bank manager and someone else are coming straight for me. He says, run. They chased me out of the bank. And instead of running to either of the two getaway cars, I chose plan D, none of the above, and I ran across the 6-lane highway. I see security truck alarms. I see lights flashing. I hear the alarm sounding. and I ran across that freeway. And as I'm maneuvering across this freeway, Spender calls. Somehow I answer. What you doing? I said, running for my life. As I dodged through a few more cars, I got across that highway and I ducked into a corner phone store. Whew, I thought, safe at last. And then Els calls and he says, they got to come pick me up. They come and they got to coax me out because I see a fire truck outside and somehow I think they're there for me. He coaxes me out. I get into the back seat. Did you get the ID back? No. Get down and stay down till we get out of town. What did I tell you? Get that ID back. Are you stupid or something? Did you do it on purpose? Do you know how much money you cost us? You blew the whole play. After about 10 minutes of this ranting, I'm now sobbing in the back seat. Dora finally puts a halt to the attack. Elle, knock it off. It was her first time. You're such an asshole. Look, Ma. All right, I'm sorry about that. But look, when you blow your first play like that, it's kind of a good thing because then you'll know that look when they're on to you and you'll never do it again. You're going to be real good at this, Ma. Real good. And just like that, I've been inducted into the gang. I've definitely been recruited now. They made me feel like I was part of something big. And now what once sounded kind of like a Herculean task, now sounded easy breezy. I was ready, game on. When we started traveling together like family, staying in hotels, not on cardboard. I'd gone from homeless to hotels and from alleyways to airplanes. And I was having so much fun. I was playing the role of a lifetime. Once, when I was Olga, I faked a Russian accent and I don't even know how to speak any Russian. I was pulling out all the stops from slings on my arm to vacations to Disneyland with Betty and buying cars with Mary. We were doing the most at this point too. We were drinking only the best champagnes, Cristal and Dom Perignon. We were drinking the best VSOP and shopping from True Religion's Gucci and Prada. You name it, we were balling. They would put on 2 chains for me and I would try to twerk white girl style. And they'd be egging me on. Go, Mom. Go, Mom. Yep, that's right. Instead of Ma, they call me Mom now. Even Dora. And I like being called Mom because I never had any kids of my own. I don't know what happened. Maybe the drugs and alcohol just messed up my system, but it felt good to be called Mom. So when Elle and I are traveling together, we might be going to rent a car or pass a sales booth and they ask us if we're traveling together. And he says, yep, this is my mom and we're on vacation. But a good run has to come to an end sometime. You got to get back to pay your people because our people had people that had people. You got to regroup, re-up. Damn, you just got to get a good sense of mind going again. So I went back to San Francisco with a big head. And the party was on me now. My boys used to call me a boss bitch. I was buying hotel rooms for my friends, hookers for Spender. And it was just a party all the time. But with more drugs came more arguments. And with more arguments came more bumps and bruises. The streets have a way of chewing you up and spitting you out, only to be just a little more broken each time. I was on the streets again, shooting some dope with Spender behind a bank downtown. You stole our stuff, you bitch! Why in the hell would I steal my own stuff? jackass. He leaps over the crowd to try to choke me, his go-to move, and 3 guys pull him back before he can get to me. I'm done. I'm out of here, Spender. So me, walking across the crosswalk, a car starts honking at me. Me still channeling Audrey Hepburn, get an attitude. Look, I got 11 seconds left on this signal, buddy, and I'm taking every second of it too, you asshole. Next thing I know, I hear 3 guys screaming out, Mom! Mom! I run to the car. I almost faint. It's my boys. It's L, Avy, and Pac-Man. So once again, I got in their car and off we went. Hey, Ma, we hear there's some money in Chicago. Are you in? Hell yeah, I'm in. So the next thing you know, we're in Chicago. I'm at the DoubleTree Inn, smashing a plate of their complimentary cookies with Elle and Avy. But I start to cry. I said, Elle, I don't want to fuck with these people anymore. I mean, if we leave them with nothing, they could get evicted. They won't have money to pay their rents. I said, no, Ma. They get their money right back. They'll be fine. That's not true, Elle. Once Spender took my credit cards, he knew all the pins, he wiped me out, and those were my first nights on the street alone. My conscience was getting to me. So I set about leaving $3,000-4,000 in their accounts. I figured that might be enough to pay rent. They live in California after all. I guess you could say I was becoming a conscientious criminal. So they had a difference of opinion about that. But at the end of the day, I had the final say. I mean, I was the one who got the money after all. And one night when the guys were gone, I got down on my knees and I prayed like I've never prayed before. Dear God, please forgive me. Please help me out of this situation. I'm so afraid of the woman that I've become. Please, God, get me out. I went to sleep for 3 days solid after that. Vodka by my head, dirty needles by the bed. The boys came and woke me up after that 3rd day. They said they wanted to go do another run. I knew this play was bad, but they insisted, so I got up and went anyways. It didn't work, just like I knew it wouldn't. So I had them drop me off at the hotel. Once again, vodka and needles. And as I'm contemplating my next shot of vodka, there's a knock at the door. Before I could stand up, there were 5 agents in my room. 5 federal agents. With blue jeans on, black bulletproof vests. I never thought it was possible to feel fear and relief at the same time.
So right now, I've got some questions for you all, and then Al, if we could bring you back as well, and then if anyone in the audience has questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm just gonna spotlight our performers and directors here. Let's see here. Let's put Pamela in. Alia there. I definitely had a question for you there. So I'll start with you, Pam. You know, it's interesting. You've done so much theater work of your own, and it's interesting listening to your piece as we hear your character, you, playing playing roles as characters and telling stories. You know, you're doing your Audrey Hepburn, and so I'm kind of curious what differences and similarities you feel in terms of creating these stories now,
Mm.
as opposed to that role and the stories you were telling then. How similar, how different is it all for you?
It's very similar. I was pretty creative out there, and the more creative I got, the more believable it was. Except it was sinister. So
Yes.
what I'm doing out here feels good because it's not.
Yeah, and that sinister quality is just all over the story. And yet here you are, so many of the scenes you play so many of the scenes um, like a comedy. You know, the when you flubbed your first job, you know, I felt there was a rhythm to the way you constructed that scene and your character and the back and forth, and it feels kind of like a comedy, except we know your character is in so much trouble. um, how are you, are you consciously playing with humor, juggling that? What is the tool? How do you use the tool of humor in this? What's its
You know,
place?
that's a good question. I think naturally I've always tried to use humor to get through sticky situations, but we've kind of been working on a more discovery side of learning how to channel the emotions that I'm feeling. So that's kind of something we've been working on. So that's interesting that you asked that.
That's Robert calling.
So
Uh,
yeah, it's a process. I think I use comedy as a crutch a lot.
I wouldn't say a crutch. I'd say it's a well considered tool.
Oh,
But I'd like to get back to Mark and Rebecca on that. But since we've got Al back, Al, welcome back and thank you,
Thank you.
for sharing that. That's awesome. I had a question specifically for you. Um, you you know, in this piece you talk about your lawyer saying do it well, and the importance you placed on those words and how seriously you took that, and you open the piece by fessing up to us that you know about being afraid, about living with fear, and the entire piece you are handling this story really, I feel, with a candor to us, the audience. You're just giving it to us, uh, and a humility in yourself, and it kind of made me think with that balance, the candor and humility, and what you present us in the writing. We seem to have a person here in you who is not afraid to, in a way, judge himself. Okay, you're telling your own story, and you in some way have to be a judge of yourself. And so my question to you is, you know, in this story you've been at the very short end of the stick, in the hands of the judgment of the justice system, we'll air quote that. And so my question is, um, how harsh are you as a judge of yourself as you are entering this world of solo theater, of telling your story, of putting yourself out there? How harshly do you judge yourself?
Um, that's a great question. I think that I judge myself very harshly in the most productive way. And the way I look at it is it's like how I hold myself accountable.
Yes.
You know, and through that whole process, I had to identify with my part, my involvement,
Mm-hmm.
the whole scheme of things, because it wasn't really uh, helpful. It wasn't really helpful to be blaming other people, even if I could justify it and say rightly so. Uh, I realized at some point during that process that in order for me to be able to uh, move past there, like we say, to grow larger than our wounds, I was going to have to begin healing by first accepting responsibility for myself and my action. And so I can say I judge myself. I'm pretty critical of myself, but in the most positive way.
Okay, I rather thought so because no one is going to deliver a piece as well crafted as yours is. I think without some very serious self judgment and you know the courage you take in taking that responsibility and to give this to us. Um, you know, I've been around the solo performer world and I know how it is. So over to you, Mark and Rebecca. Then I'd like you to talk about a little bit about um, the process of working with the group, of this process of bringing this stuff out in all its honesty and pain and courage and humor and so many things all at the same time. Could you tell us all a little bit about that? And by the way, Pam and Al, feel free to interject anything you want to say about Mark as the leader of the group. We'd like to hear that too.
Well,
Sure.
that's the thing is I mean, it's really Rebecca, me, and Wayne who are going to school. You know, I think that the performers hold themselves accountable, as Al said, for going deep, and you know, their experiences, you know, are different from each other, you know, in many different ways, but there's a lot of similarities, and so when we would have our group rehearsals either in person or Zoom, there was just a lot of performers bouncing off of each other and encouraging each other to go deeper. So that allowed us to, you know, for us to focus, I think, on more elements of, you know, craft. And I mean, it's not to say that we weren't, that obviously craft is a doorway to going deeper into moments, to opening moments up. Rebecca, what do you think?
Well, I just want to say it was, I don't know that this speaks to anything that you asked, but what I just compelled to say, it was really great to see these pieces grow from just being in the room way back in March, in the real room, not the Zoom room. I guess it was in February, and just to see, there's just something that is so about just doing the pieces over and over and what happens in that. And I just want to speak to these two pieces in particular, because I was not interrupted tonight. I got to watch them through the whole thing, and it was just very a confirmation of just what happens if you have a chance to keep doing a piece. Anyway, yeah, I echo Mark's, that just being with you guys is such an inspiration. So
It is inspiration, and this makes me so excited about, you know, the coming year and getting back to in-person performances, which we will do both with, when the weather warms up, if we need to be outside, we'll do that, and we'll rehearse outside. And then with the vaccines coming along, yay, you know, getting back to theater, both indoor and outdoors. So I just
yeah, I felt that excitement tonight. Now that we have more information, I felt like, oh, I can't wait to get in the room again. Do you know, like it? So I felt excited about what's to come. Anyway, that's just me rambling on, but just it felt exciting tonight to have the vaccine on the horizon and to see the way the pieces had grown and that there's still life to go. Felt exciting to me. So
I have something I want to interject about the three. I don't see Wayne, but he's here.
he's here.
And so my thing is that as a person hello Pam, gracious.
Oh.
All right. So as a person who've experienced that length of time of confinement, it was so refreshing and welcoming, if you will, to have people like Mark and Wayne who could not understand the depth of the reality of human confinement, but were so willing to be open to understand it and receive that feeling of being comfortable and being a family, and then being able to be transparent and grow in increments is what was one of the most amazing things with that. It didn't take long for us to for me personally to feel like I was with genuine folks, you know, who knew their craft, and who would take the same, how would you say, the same steps with working with us like they would with themselves. But I felt that, and like I say, it's really it's major to have somebody to be able to share our experience, strength, and hope, and have them acknowledge where I couldn't actually get the depth of that, but I'm open to understanding that human experience and how that was for you, and to push us further.
Yeah, I'd like to say, Rebecca and Wayne and Mark have been so instrumental in just not just the growth of our project, but just for me, I can speak and I ditto what Al said. But for my own growth, this is so therapeutic to do, and it's so therapeutic to be around the people working on the projects, and that my own growth I feel like a different person than I felt back in February. And that seems like so long ago to me, but it really was just this year, and that's crazy. But yeah, I've definitely grown more. It gives me more confidence in myself to just be able to speak, and speaking in front of even a Zoom thing isn't the easiest thing to do. So they've been really instrumental in just my personal growth, and that's amazing to have this kind of team behind you, helping you and pushing you and encouraging you. They're amazing people.
Well, if I may,
Yeah.
Mark mentioned it earlier. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're good, Wayne.
Mark mentioned earlier how amazing not just the performances we've been, lucky to watch, but the process itself, the side conversations, the kind of impromptu moments. But what I want to get to is just the courage of everyone that's participating in this process. You guys are telling difficult stories, and kind of sharing it with the world, and that takes courage, and it takes willpower, and to have moved through the good times and now COVID, and to keep doing the work is just so gratifying. So I just want to give props to you guys and everyone else, within FIPP here. But yeah, great job tonight, guys.
Thank you.
Wayne.
So we've still got a few minutes. So again, anyone in the Zoom audience or YouTube live audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat. I just wanted to make sure Al and Pam, Mimi here in the audience says, I am moved by your bravery. Thank you for sharing your stories. Wanted to make sure you got that.
Thank you.
So it's not news that 2020's been a rough year in all kinds of ways. It's been a year where so much has happened, where I think this country has had to take a look at itself, particularly with regards to our criminal justice system, our policing system, and its treatment, particularly of people of color. And so, your work in that context, it seems even bigger, even grander. And so, going back to Al's line from Al's piece, what responsibility do you feel to do it well?
That's funny. Is that like a question for both of us?
Yeah, and I'll also add that and by the way, feel free to disagree with me on this, but I just personally feel, for instance, that it is the job of the artist, regardless of what the subject matter of their art is, whether it's great questions of social justice, or whether it's presenting small family stories, or anything of the sort. that I feel it's the job of the artist to be true to their art and to their voice and to their vision, and that these other questions of social significance will happen when they happen. That's just my opinion. So I guess I'm wondering how you as artists are approaching this and the importance of what you have to say, as you craft your art.
Would you like to go first, Pam?
Well, I think the importance is that people just need to see people as people, no matter whether they're incarcerated, whether they're black, they're white, they're yellow, they're green, they're blue. We're just all people, and I think there's a lot of stigma put on so-called incarcerated people, and I think we're breaking that stigma. And I know for me, just this is kind of offbeat, but I don't let just anyone watch my show still, because I'm still a little bit, I guess, embarrassed about what I did. I guess that'd be a good way to sum it up. But so it's about breaking a lot of stuff off of just the people who are watching, and of us too.
I think that my responsibility is that I believe that there's this silent culture of people who either feel like they don't have a voice in this world, they shouldn't have a voice in this world, and specifically those who are still incarcerated with lengthy sentences that are disproportionate. And so I just think that when I speak from the perspective of a person that's formerly incarcerated, then I have to have a responsibility to speak the truth in terms of what I witnessed, as well as to say it in a way that represents all the others who either haven't had an opportunity to speak out so that they can still feel like alive. Because for a lot of people that are incarcerated with lengthy sentences, it's like a death sentence. Even if it's 6 months to life or 15 years to life, it's still a death sentence. And so what I like, my responsibility is to represent in every way that I can, and not just to speak about things that are vain, but to think about what we call some real issues, and to be a voice for that silent culture of folks.
Well said, Al.
Beautifully said, Al. Thank you for that. Just in before we go, I'd like to throw this last one out to Mark and Wayne and Rebecca, all or one of you to answer. What's next for the project? Where do you have a sort of grand scheme? Is there going to be a grand operatic FIPP thing, or how, kind of what's next? I mean, you talked a little bit about kind of post COVID and getting into live performance, but what's next for you all?
Absolutely. Well, we were supposed to do a festival this past June. We started working with the performers in January, and obviously COVID put a halt on that. So we're just picking up with that dream. We will have a festival at a theater. We're looking at June, indoors or outdoors, however we can do it. We are going to do that. We'll be reaching out to the performers over the next month or so to line up their commitments, and we've got additional funding for them to get more money. Obviously, for formerly incarcerated people, it's hard. It's hard to find the time and the means to do this kind of work. So we want to support them as much as we can to make that possible for them. And we will be having a festival indoors or outdoors this coming spring.
All right, so everyone keep an eye out for that. I'd also like to say that this performance here will be available for replay viewing on the Marsh's YouTube channel. So everyone in the audience, please spread the word. These are great stories that should be heard. And so Al and Pam, thank you so much for your courage.
Thank
in
you
sharing
for a
this.
wonderful host.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
I'll
it's
say
been
you're great, David. You're very thoughtful and really take it to heart. And I just thank you, David, for your.
He's
Of
only
course.
up to it for 25 years.
Right. I'll get it right eventually. But let's do this again sometime, shall we?
Yes.
If that works for you. So and anyway, so thank you to everyone in the audience for being here. And so please, if you can support us through our tip jar, that'd be great. And spread the word on FIPP and the Marsh and everything else. And thank you for being here. And we'll hope to see you again. So everyone, good night.
It happens, right? You're on your way to a very important meeting.
The right one, and finally, I turn to the place I always turn when I'm utterly lost and desperate.
Livelier. Can you do something a bit livelier? Of course I can.
We need to talk to you right now. We just need a momento. You can do your homework later.
I composed this song in prison. It sounds.
Walking down the street, going to the theater. I mean, I had many breakfasts at Venus, and then I
read a little excerpt from it right now.
Excerpt. I love that word. Excerpt.
And she would call me like from self-help home. She'd go, "They have their Sabbath on Fridays. Did you know that?"
2, 3, 4. And up.
Your ability to be online, pre-check how you look on camera, and also check for glasses. You see how much glare is on the.
Know that we are one.
It sounds like hell, if you know what I mean. But for some reason, we call it living the dream.
Okay, 069, and I don't want any of your smart aleck sex talk that I usually get when I get 069.